Guys, what is going on? Welcome to video 12 in the 30 for 30 challenge, 30 business lessons in about 30-ish days here at Entrepreneurship. If you don't know me, my name is Matt Wacek. I'm the founder here at Entrepreneurship, big community of lawn, landscape, and snow business owners. And I am the former owner of MJW Landscape Contracting, which is a lawn, landscape, and snow business. I started back in 2011 from absolutely nothing but just my laptop while I was working as an aircraft fueler and going to school full time for horticulture after going to school for accounting prior to that. So I scaled that business over the course of about 5 years to multiple six figures before selling it in early 2016. And now I am the current owner of Diverse Media, which is a digital marketing agency, and I am the founder of this big community here called Entrepreneurship. So if you're brand new here, welcome aboard. If you're a follower of a long time already, thank you for being a member here at Entrepreneurship. So if you are not already subscribed, go down below and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and also hit the like on this button if you like what I'm going to be covering here in this one, because there's going to be a lot of valuable lessons that we're going to cover here. So yeah, let's just hop right into it. I look like a lobster, tomato. I don't even know. I'm not even sunburned. I don't really spend much time outside anymore because I spend most of my time right here working on the computer. But basically, we're going to be hopping in my computer. I would love to just tell this whole story while holding my phone, but my arms would absolutely just kill me after about 3 minutes of doing this. So we're going to hop in and basically show you how we made $6,000 in one day with no equipment other than just like basic hand tools and a small trailer, truck, and wheelbarrows. And well, the day went great to start things off. It was super early that we got going up until when we had some problems that we had encountered. So needless to say, it turned into like an 8 hour day, turned into about a 17 and a half hour day, or maybe 8 or 9 hours. But anyway, let's hop into my computer right now. Alrighty, welcome into the depths of my computer. Before you leave some crazy comment and say how I was deceitful or whatever the word would be for it on the job price, it was about $5,900 and some change. We're not in an accounting class here, so we don't need to be dead on exact with the numbers, but it was close enough to $6,000 that it basically was. So the premise of this job was a buddy of mine who owns a lawn maintenance and irrigation company. Is primarily what they do in summer. They do a lot of snow, like 50% of their revenue comes from snow, but they needed a company to install the sod on this newly built home that you can see here. They didn't do the landscape installation either. They just did I don't remember who exactly did the grading, but the first time I went out there, it was covered in 2 foot tall weeds, first things first. So this was about 3 weeks before doing the job. And I got subbed. They chose us to do the job because they needed their manpower on a couple of irrigation installs to do that same day that this job was going to be done, and it was the day leading into the 4th of July weekend. This is a few years back, like 2014. So my exact memory of everything isn't like I don't remember all of it because this was a long time ago. A lot of things have happened since then. So sorry if I'm not 100% accurate with what exactly occurred or what exact second and minute of the day for the nitpicky ones that probably see this. But anyway, the job was subbed to us to basically show up and do the sod. My buddy needed his guys doing irrigation, but we needed to get the job done before the 4th of July weekend because this person that was moving into this house was moving in like the next day or 2 days after or something. So it needed to get done, and it had been a construction site for quite a long time. It was about half acre in size, I believe. I don't remember the exact specs on the job. I don't even know where the note sheet is I'd used when I measured. But this pile of dirt here was for the next door property. This is roughly where the property line was for this place. And yeah, this was totally unknown. We didn't know anything worth the property lines. We had just were able to guess a little bit. We basically had to guess with where the exact property lines were, aside from like the road and driveway and the other structures that we were able to use. So it was really tough to figure out exactly what was the boundary and what wasn't. So we didn't know the exact turf specs. And long story short, if you just want to see what happened and why, we ran out of sod. And before you think I'm some idiot that doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to measuring properties and that you shouldn't listen to me, this happens all the time. I'm not the first one that this has happened to, and it's not the last time it'll happen, to say the least. So my buddy who had subbed the job out to us, they have like 9 or 10 crews, I believe, and he had been in business since like 2004 at this point in time. So neither of us were exactly, we weren't rookies, brand new first year guys that had never measured a property before. This just happens, and the weeds were super tall. I didn't take any before pictures when we were out there measuring. It was not a very easy to see property. As you can see in the very back here on this picture on the left, the weeds and stuff are super tall back there. But the other thing is that we only brought just my one small trailer I had at that point in time was just the 6x10 trailer, first trailer I ever bought a couple years prior for mowing. The enclosed trailer would not have fit in this neighborhood because super narrow roads in this area and super tight corners. And the end of the road here was like a cul-de-sac, but basically a dead end where you had no turnaround. The company that delivered the sod, the supplier had to park like a half mile away and had to use their forklift to bring each one of these pallets, which I believe was like 24 or 20 or something like that, all the way to this house. But basically, we were paid to show up, do a little bit of the prep work by picking up some of the rock and sticks and stuff, and then lay the sod. So it was about 24 pallets. I don't remember the exact amount. You can count if you really want to count them out right here. You can pause the video and count them. It really doesn't matter. But basically, bottom line is that we got started and we got done with lunch at about noon, and we had a little bit more left to go. And I wanted to get this done. It was like a Thursday. We were hoping to be done by 2 and back up to our home area, because this was about 30 miles to the south, so a little bit further out of range than we normally work, but the price was right on the job, as you guys could see from the earlier slide, and the margin was going to be good, and it was also great timing because it was right before 4th of July. Hurry up and get it done. Wanted to then go do a little bit of mowing in the afternoon after this, and then head up to the lake that night. And needless to say, about 2 o'clock rolled around and we ran out of sod. This was a picture here from the very beginning of the day. As you can see, there's just a mess right here on the street. We did not leave it like that. So yeah, for all the haters that are going to say something, I really don't care. But of course, these were all cut right where the pavement met the turf. But we got into the backyard, which was over here. And then we realized, oh, we have about 4,200 square feet of sod left to go. And we were out at that point in time, and I just realized, crap, how the heck are we going to get sod in order to get the rest of the stuff laid, get it done, get the job just buttoned up and closed up? And so I called up my buddy, and he says, all right, let me talk to a couple suppliers and see what we can find. And I did the same, and I ended up getting in touch with the same supplier that had delivered this other sod previously. And we ended up going to, they couldn't deliver it that same day, so I had to make 2 trips because I didn't have a dump trailer at that point in time. All I had was an enclosed trailer with a bunch of mowing equipment in it and that small trailer that we had used. So I had to make, and this sod supplier was about 30 minutes from my shop, which was in the North Metro of the Twin Cities, and this house was 30 minutes south from my shop. So we had about an hour's drive to get up there on normal traffic. The first trip up was relatively slow, so it took about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours to get up there. Then came back and got the next load of sod, dropped my guys off there, and they were working, laid the sod, and then I had to hurry up and race back up to the sod supplier to get a couple more pallets because, again, I needed about 5 pallets, I think it was total, and it can only fit 2 on that trailer. Otherwise, it was totally overloaded and maxed out, and I was not about to get like an overload ticket or get in an accident or anything like that because it's just a single axle trailer with no brakes on it. So yeah, that was that. And we had to make a trip back up and got back to the job site. So let's see, I left the sod supplier at about 8 o'clock, I remember, because it was right when they were closing. And it actually might have been 9 o'clock. I don't remember the exact time, but it was pretty dang late in the evening. We started working at 6 o'clock in the morning. So it was already a long day at that point in time. Got down to the job site, just absolutely flew down there. It was about 9:45, took 15 minutes to lay the rest of the sod, make all the remaining cuts, clean up. And it kind of sucked, but I knew at the end of the day, hey, at least we got this job done. It looks amazing. I didn't take any pictures because it was literally dark when we left, but the neighbor here to the left of the place came out when we were packing stuff up, and he's an older gentleman who comes out with like one of those apple cider like containers that the apple cider comes in when you buy it from the store, filled with beer. He's like, you guys have been working your asses off all day long. Here's some beer, here's some cups, and enjoy yourselves for a little bit before you head out. And I just thought, wow, this is pretty badass. The dude came out, gave us some beer. It was like PBR or something. It's actually not that bad of a beer, but depending on who you're talking to. And it was, I didn't really have much, but my guys had a couple cups of beer, hanging out, relaxing before we left. Obviously, I had to drive 30 minutes, so I wasn't going to drink a bunch of beer and then do that. But it was a long day and a big learning experience. The biggest learning experience is if you are measuring out a property that is like a newly built home, or it's going to be a newly built home or something, make sure you have double or triple check your measurements before you calculate how much sod you're going to need. And when you do a sod job, make sure that you add in how much, not add how much, but make sure you factor in like an extra half pallet of sod, like an extra 50 square yards or whatever it is. That extra 50 or 60, 70 bucks or whatever the cost may be, depending on your area, is going to be a lot cheaper than having to drive to your sod supplier, pay your guys to basically be standing there doing nothing, than it is to then just pay for that little bit of extra sod. And if you run out, then you deal with it at that point in time. But order a little bit extra, but make sure you double and triple check, and make sure you know exactly where the property lines are. Because when we were measuring, like, the weeds were so tall around this place, we really couldn't even tell. This fence was not there either, so we had to straight up just guess with where things were. So when it came down to finishing up the job and how did we actually make money, basically, yes, we made a good chunk of money. The net on the job after everything was about $22.50, and the initial price, of course, was $5,900. And so the initial sod, though, with delivery and the sales tax, was about $24.65. The extra sod had cost us $430. And basically, with my buddy, we worked out a deal that I said, hey, if you guys cover material, I'll just eat the labor, whatever on it, and we'll just get it done. And we agreed on that. I mean, does that work for everyone? Like, would you do that in your business? That's kind of up to you. But it worked out for us. So it's about $3,000 roughly in sod material, which is kind of high. This job should have been a little bit more money, but lesson learned. Labor was on the high side, about $610. My guys had about 17 hours clocked in on that day. I had like 19 hours clocked in on that day when you factor in the waking up a little bit early, get everything ready, and then a little bit after with unloading stuff and whatnot, and then also the extra hour or so to do the measuring. And also my labor pay is not included in this because I would just take a salary. So the fuel cost on this job was about $150, I believe. I don't remember the exact amounts on it, but the expenses were about $36.55. So $36.55 taken away from $5,900, $22.45, not too bad. Even though it was about 20 hours worth of work for me, but that's still about $220 per hour for me. And then obviously, yes, there's overhead and that sort of stuff that comes out of it, but still pretty good, even though it was a really long, stressful day. So the lesson that you should take away from this, that I hope you do take away from this, is that if you can find jobs that are being subcontracted out, like literally I don't remember the exact situation of how I found this job. I think it was maybe through one of the forums I was on or something at that point in time. And my buddy had posted about it and said, hey, does anyone have availability on like during this week to do this job? And I saw it like 5 minutes later, instantly sent him a message and said, hey, yeah, let's do it. We'll do the work. So we took it on. These jobs are incredibly, incredibly high margin. We did not do anything with the grading or anything like that. We showed up. The sod was there. We used our wheelbarrows. We used shovels and rakes and sod or utility knives to cut the sod. That is it. Super high margin. And this could have been, because if we would have measured out this with what the actual size of the property was, the job price probably would have been closer to $6,500 or so. So that adds another $600 worth of margin to the job site, or not to the job site, to the job price. And that means also the labor would have been less because we would not have had to do all that driving and sitting in traffic and all that sort of stuff. And the labor probably would have been closer to $400 and maybe throwing the guys a bonus for working for me if we're working really hard to get it done as soon as possible. And I still would have come out with a very nice profit on the job. So be on the lookout for doing these jobs. You don't need to have a massive amount of equipment. You just need to have a truck to be able to haul 20 pallets worth of, or empty pallets. That way you can haul them back to the sod supplier or put them on your trailer or whatever it is. But sod is an excellent, excellent job to do because it's relatively simple and the margins are nice and high. Plus, you can do it with just no equipment whatsoever, as long as all the prep work has been done prior to that. So if you guys like videos like this, be sure to leave a like on here. Leave a comment below if you have any questions. If you also like videos like talking about lawn, landscape, business ownership, crazy stories from the endeavors in my business experience over the past few years, marketing, training, and tutorials, all that sort of stuff, Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell for the notifications so that way you know when all these videos are uploaded here to the channel. So you can come on here and listen to me ramble long stories about jobs that had a bunch of misadventures go on during it. So we'll see you in the next video tomorrow.